Findings of the 2020 State of Mining Industry Report and prospects thereof for 2021. The overwhelming response for this event is evident. This response is testimony to the important stakeholders attached to information which is specific to the product we are launching this morning.
As we gather once again to receive the findings of this important research on the state of the mining industry, we are mindful on the COVID pandemic, which has been a major socio-economic disruptor. And as mining industry, we haven't been spared the negative impact of the pandemic. As an industry, we've had to rearrange ourselves, each and every one of us here, to remain in business and to remain relevant to our operations.
It's so important that this government, we come up with a framework, supportive framework, to ensure that production in those particular minerals goes back.
Ministry of Finance was here. They were going to speak more competently on this matter because that's a fiscal aspect. From the bank side, we are very clear. In fact, this time we are very clear as the sky is blue. That
if there are all challenges with Lake Kariba, it was about the water levels, particularly in the year 2019, because of the effects of climate change. While at Wange Power Station, more often than not, we operate at less than 50% capacity due to age-related failures and deferred maintenance programs.
Let's dwell more on the mining industry prospects for 2021 to say what is the mining saying as far as the next 12 months is concerned, from where we are into 2021. What are their views in terms of going forward as a sector? So we are going to touch on a number of issues. You will see that as we present, we'll give you, first of all, the status in that issue, as well as what miners are expecting. In other words, what policymakers can take as recommendations in dealing with some of these issues. So that's how we are presenting. We combine
Minister of Mines and Mining Development, Winston Chitando, and his deputy, Polite Kambamura, and my senior officials from the Ministry of Mines and Mining Development. Thank you very much, the Governor of the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, John Manguja. We have the Chairman of the Portfolio Committee for Mines and Mining Development, Honorable Mukaratigwa Mazvita. I noticed that we had also the chairman of the executive chairman of ZESA, Vagata, is still here. Yes, he was here, and of course the Iron Lady, the president of the Chamber of Mines, Elizabeth Nerwande, and I was actually asked by the chief executive officer of the Chamber of Mines to make a special mention to the senior executives from the Chamber of Mines. And I think Sekuru Wangware Panapa, Vamaposa, I also saw that my Mzuguru Sekuru from the gold sector, the past president of the Chamber of Mines, Muchipe. He knows himself. But thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming, including representative from the Ministry of Finance. This is the 6th mining industry sector survey report, and it's actually a good job that the Chamber of Mines Secretariat has been very consistent with this report. We won't have a lot of, on the program, if you look at the housekeeping. We don't have housekeeping, except to say time is of essence. So if you've been asked to speak for 10 minutes, I'll ask you to reduce it to 5 minutes. If you're 5 minutes, please reduce it to 2 minutes, because our esteemed executives have other important duties to do. Without much further ado, I'll ask the Chief Executive Officer of the Chamber of Mines, Isaac Kwesu, to give us his welcome remarks.
Our guest of honor, the Minister of Mines and Mining Development, Honorable W. Chitando, the Minister of Energy and Power Development, I'm informed you'll be getting in anytime soon, Honorable S. Jemu, the Deputy Minister of Mines and Mining Development, Honorable P. Kambamura, the Governor of the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, Dr. J.P. Mangujira, the Chairman of the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee for Mines, Honorable Imukara Tigwa, the President of the Chamber of Mines, Ms. Ine Rwande, members of Parliament who may be here present, senior government officials, members of the Chamber Presidium, executive from the mining industry, ZESA Executive Chairman, I've seen Dr. Gata is in here, our lead researcher, Professor Albert Makochekanwa, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning. On behalf of the Chamber of Mines and the mining industry fraternity, it is my pleasure to welcome you all to this edition of the State of Mining Industry Report 2020 survey report. A special welcome again to our guest of honor, the Minister of Mines and Mining Development, W. Chitando, for taking time from his busy schedule to be with us to grace this occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here to receive the findings of the 2020 State of Mining Industry Report and prospects thereof for 2021. The overwhelming response for this event is evident. This response is testimony to the important stakeholders attached to information which is specific to the product we are launching this morning. We trust that this event will meet, or if not possible, exceeding your expectations in every aspect. Without preempting the presentation from the researcher, we are all aware that the world is experiencing major disruption to economic and social activities as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Zimbabwe has not been spared of these negative impacts of the pandemic. Experience elsewhere in the world have indicated that a second wave of infection has already affected some countries. Your mining industry has not been spared of the adverse effects of COVID, but interestingly, I've been talking with the governor that as an industry, we've done all what we could do under these difficult conditions, and the industry remain open and to a certain extent relatively stable. So the mining is business as usual. The mining industry has also managed to maintain a delicate balance between social restraint and economic activities. This balance has resulted in minimum COVID impacts with maximum output under these difficult times. This line balance will hopefully continue to be maintained to save lives and to contribute to the national cause. It is our sincere hope that the findings of this survey will in some way inform measures that will necessitate optimal policies for the mining industry in 2021 and beyond. Mistrust as a result of information asymmetry is evident between key stakeholders, specifically the private sector, government, and the CSOs or communities. We are looking forward that our survey report will fill some of these information gaps and will align our vision as stakeholders, which we call the common goals that will be manifested in the socio-economic agenda of our country. The Chamber of Mines is proud to once again sponsor the survey with the support of our media partner, the Financial Gazette. We recognize the role that independent researchers led by Professor Albert Makochekano of the University of Zimbabwe Economics Department have put in producing the 2020 survey report. As I've said, this is the 6th edition. We commissioned this report some 6 years ago, and it has evolved to become a major source of information. I was just chatting this morning with Mnyaradzi Wengwe, where I said if you go to the previous editions, in fact, 2 days ago I had to read everything, and what you discover will be really surprising. Just take gold, read the 2019 report. It said the 2018 report said that 2019 figures would be 29 tons, and it was 29 tons. 27 said 28 would be 35, and it was exactly 35. I'm just giving examples. This means the report is very reliable. The independence, the ethical research process that the researchers had to go through is shown by the numbers that are factual. And these numbers, I hope, that are contained in the report will also be a testimony when it comes to 2021 numbers, as we'll be meeting again same time next year. I take this opportunity to invite the President of the Chamber of Mines of Zimbabwe, who will be given his remarks. I thank you.
Honorable Minister Chitando, Honorable Deputy Minister Kambamura, Governor Amazunja, Chairman of the Mines and Mining Portfolio Ramkaratirwa, Chairman of ZESA Vagata, senior government officials here present, Chamber of Mines CEO Kwesu, Chamber of Mine Presidium here present, executives from the mining industry, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to welcome you all to the 6th edition, as stated before, of the State of the Mining Industry and Dissemination Workshop. A few years back, as Chamber, we identified this information asymmetry, like Kwesu has indicated, as a major barrier in our engagement with regulatory authorities. And as Chamber, we worked tirelessly to bridge this information gap. We're now looking into not just making this a once-a-year event. Currently, we are building a state-of-the-art resource center at the Chamber of Mine, mainly to make sure that there is a lot of information sharing amongst ourselves as well as with the regulatory authorities. Information is very essential if we're going to have meaningful policies. And we've seen that the survey has proved to be very legitimate and reliable, like Kwesu was saying, in enhancing our capacity to have the information updated. If you benchmark with other chambers, like Chamber of Mines like South Africa, their resource centers are up to they're very on-time, real-time information. So we're also asking everybody to make sure that they support the Chamber in setting up this. As we gather once again to receive the findings of this important research on the state of the mining industry, we are mindful on the COVID pandemic, which has been a major socio-economic disruptor. And as mining industry, we haven't been spared the negative impact of the pandemic. As an industry, we've had to rearrange ourselves, each and every one of us here, to remain in business and to remain relevant to our operations. We are grateful to the government for according the mining industry critical sector status, which enabled us to continue operating even at reduced levels, but we are happy to say we didn't have shedding of jobs. I'm confident the research report will elaborate on the impacts of the COVID-19 on the mining industry. The timing of this is very critical for us as it affords us the country to consider the most up-to-date information on the formulation of policies, thus guiding the development of our industry in 2021. We are aware that many organizations are finalizing their strategies and plans for 2021, and as such, the survey report will provide the information for such processes. As has been the case with the past surveys, it is directed to all mineral producers, large and small, and the sample size provides confidence in the adequacy of the data findings of the survey. We continue to work expanding the sample size and to include all aspects of the mining value chain. The ultimate objective is to have all registered mineral title holders participating in the survey. We are happy to see the Governor and the Minister of Mines, who are key in our lobbying, and thank you for coming once again. The survey is going to look at key 4 assets above all others: the mining title management, fiscal regime for mining, monetary framework, and infrastructure to support mining. We trust that these findings will continue to provide relevant insights and trends that are necessary in policy formulation and will support the ease of doing business reform agenda that government is passionately pursuing. We also remain hopeful that the research findings will be useful in informing policy where it is needed in the quest to achieve the aspired vision, $12 billion by 2023. I'm confident that the researchers have interesting findings this year. May I therefore invite you all to receive the findings of the report. We look forward to stakeholder feedback on the report as we shape our industry. I thank you.
Honorable Minister of Mines and Mining Development, Mr. Winston Chitando, the Deputy Minister of Mines, Mr. Kambamura, the Minister of Energy and Power Development, Honorable Jemu, the Chairman of the Portfolio Parliamentary Committee, Honorable Mukaratirwa, the Governor of the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, Dr. Mangunjira, the Chairman of ZESA, Dr. Gata, the President of the Chamber of Mines, Ms. Nerwande, the CEO of the Chamber of Mines, Mr. Kwesu, distinguished leadership from the mining industry and the supporting industry at large, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor for the Nedbank Group to be able to partner the Chamber and the mining industry on this important occasion. As a brand, we commit to partner the Chamber and the mining industry for the foreseeable future. My role is to introduce you to a short clip for the Nedbank brand that shares insights into potential partnerships that we can do both at the corporate and the individual levels. We hope you have some interesting takeouts. We have a desk at the outside of this conference room, manned by Nedbankers, and I think our objective is just to exchange contacts for engagements in the future and see how best we can partner for the good of our nation and the industry. Lastly, I think we've got a draw that is going to happen at the end of the session and the presentations. Please put in your cards. We hope to add a smile into maybe 2 or 3 lucky winners this morning. I thank you, and I call you Mumunya just to pray the Nedbank brand. Thank you.
My colleague, the Deputy Minister of Mines and Mining Development, Honorable Kambamura, the Chairman of the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee, Ramkaratirwa, very good to see you here, and thanks for your support all the time. in terms of the events which we have in the sector. Members of Parliament who may be here. The Governor of the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, Dr. Mangunja, and I realize the Executive Chairman of ZESA is here. Good to have you here. We have Chief Directors and other directors from the Ministry of Mines and Mining Development. I wish to recognize your presence. And our host, the President of the Chamber of Mines, the Presidium of the Chamber of Mines, the Secretariat, members of the mines who make up most, we are the majority of those attending this event, the past presidents of the Chamber of Mines, government officials, here in present, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. When I got here, I must say I was very impressed with the turnout which we have here, and without any doubt, it shows the importance we attach to it, to our industry. It shows the importance to which we attach to the role of mining in the development of our country. I must say that I would like to acknowledge the good working relationship between the Chamber of Mines and government. It's very important. It's not an us and them approach, but we are all in need together to ensure that all the stakeholders in the mining industry are working towards the development of the industry, are working towards the attainment of the 12 billion milestone which has been set for us. I just want to touch on a few key issues which were raised by the Chief Executive of the Chamber and also the President of the Chamber when they spoke. First and foremost, I would like to, again I said, I would like to acknowledge the good working relationship which is there between the Chamber and government. But I also would like to recognize, to accept that there are some policy interventions which government is still to make to ensure that we gain or utilize all the potential within the industry. The growth of the industry is obviously underpinned through exploration, increasing the capacity utilization of those mining operations already operating, and getting new investment in new mines. In the interactions we have had with the Chamber, there are some policy interventions which government still has to make. Some of them mineral specific, to ensure that we take advantage of the potential which Zimbabwe mining industry has, but also take advantage in quite a few of the cases commodity cycle prices which is out there. It is very important that as a country, it is very important that as an industry, that our policy framework as a government enables the industry to take advantage of the high prices which are prevailing, takes advantage of the potential we have. Admittedly, we do have minerals which have been negatively affected by the current COVID pandemic. It is also important that as government, we come up with a framework, supportive framework, to ensure that production in those particular minerals goes back not only to the average before the pandemic, but also gives comfort for players in those industries to continue to invest. So the policy framework is very important. And what I want to assure you is there is government determination to ensure that there is correct framework for the entire industry and for mineral specific policies to ensure that our industry grows. There have been engagements over the last few months, there have been engagements over the last few weeks, but I can certainly assure you that in two of the minerals, there will be some very specific interventions which will be announced before the end of the year to ensure that we take or we utilize the potential we have in the country. And we will liaise very the next 2 weeks with the chamber before such policy pronouncements. But I can assure you that there will be some specific policy announcements in two minerals. But that doesn't stop there. We continue engaging so that at the end of the day, we want to see this report in 2022, in 2021, making reference to the fact that the flow of capital is now much easier. The Victoria Falls Stock Exchange was launched on Friday last week, and I would like to believe that once the listing rules and regulations are structured in a manner to suit the industry specific issues in the country, which is the next step which will take place. The introduction of the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange marks the beginning of another very important avenue of capital availability for our country. I would like to also make reference to some of the discussions which the chamber has had, which they have presented to government with respect to some fiscal interventions which are inquired, which they have made, also with respect to regularization of the indigenization regulations which now have to be enacted into law. And with respect to the latter, I'm sure those who read His Excellency the President's State of the Nation address, he made reference to a new act which will be, or amendments to the act, to cater for the new policy framework with respect to indigenization. Because we are aware that there are some, or through the chamber, we have received that is one of the issues which has to be resolved to give certainty in the flow of capital. So that's being addressed and to be addressed in this parliamentary session. And with respect to some of the fiscal initiatives which have been raised, I'm aware that my colleague, the Minister of Industry, is looking at them seriously, and we obviously have to wait for the forthcoming budget. But again, the relationship we have...
Minister Chitando, Minister of Mines and Mining Development, Deputy Minister Wakambamura, Honorable SM, Minister of Energy and Power Development, Dr. John Mangunjga, Reserve Bank Governor, Alam Karatiwa, Parliament Portfolio Committee on Mines, Ms. Rwande, Chamber of Mines President, Mr. Kwesu, CEO, Chamber of Mines, Dr. Gata, CEO, ZESA, and all invited stakeholders. Good morning. We should be smiling because when we talk of mining, that's where the actual money comes from. But just from the dignitaries, especially the high table that we have mentioned, already you can see the extent to which the government of Zimbabwe, through the various structures, take mining seriously. I know, say, Minister Chitando, Dr. Mangunjga, they are very busy, but they decided to come and also attend this and also respond to some of the issues that will be raised or that are contained here. It just shows that they are serious when it comes to mining. Let's have a hand applause for them. So, ladies and gentlemen, as has been said, I'm told because of time, so where I come from, I am trained to observe time religiously and enforce it militarily, so I will be just on time, within my allocated time. So we want to thank the Chamber of Mines for this great job. Me and my team, we did this assignment of this State of the Mining Industry report prospect for 2021. As the CEO was saying, Mr. Quest, that a few days ago he was just reading the past editions, the 5 of them, of this report, and he's found that in all years, the predictions that were coming or were forecasted by these reports turned out to be true. So which also shows that we value you stakeholders, because when we conducted this study, we came to you to get your views, and that your views in most cases, they were genuine and they were to the point. So we want to thank you as stakeholders. So this report is a result of feedback from you stakeholders. It's not that we just sit in our offices and do something. No, we inquired from you, and this is the feedback. As our President Nirwande said, one of the reasons or motive of this survey each year is that there was some information gap, and this survey is there to provide more information and cover that gap. And that gap, in terms of this information, will help government and various structures in terms of policy making. It will also help you miners in terms of your projections and planning. It will also help potential current and potential investors in the mining sector, and it will also help other stakeholders as well as the general public. So this is the presentation outline. It's very clear. We are majoring on 2 points. the mining business confidence and the mining industry prospects for 2021. We are saying, yes, there have been COVID, or we are still in COVID, but life goes on, business goes on. So even from the mining sector, we are projecting into 2021, and that's where our presentation will draw, especially on number 2. From the findings that we got from you miners who are here and those that are not here, we found that for the business confidence index for 2021, this business confidence index measures the mining business sentiments, whether positive or negative or optimism or pessimism about the prospects of the mining industry in the next 12 months. So for the 2021, the prospects are positive plus 3.1, which is higher compared to the prospect which we got last year when we were projecting for 2020, and last year it was 2.2. What it simply means in summary is that this means that overall mining executives or mining houses are slightly confident about the prospects for businesses in 2021 when compared to 2020. This is just the graphical presentation, but in summary we are saying despite COVID and other issues, the future is brighter than where we are. That is the whole message in this context, and we got it from mining executives. We are saying the positive or the optimism is hinged or was built on some of these issues where we are saying variables that contributed to the positive confidence for 2021 are that mining sector growth prospects. We are going to elaborate a bit profitability prospects as well as commodity outlook in terms of the market outlook. The minister mentioned especially to take advantage of the potential and advantage as a country in terms of the potential outlook going forward. Well, in any society there are always some challenges here and there, even at households we have to agree. We are saying the business confidence is very positive, but there are some challenges that we experienced, especially in 2020, among others, the investment environment, which seems to remain uncompetitive, policy environment, again, which remain, according to your feedback, uncertain, and also some country risk, but we are going to delve more into some of these issues. So let's dwell more on the mining industry prospects for 2021 to say what is the mining saying as far as the next 12 months is concerned from where we are into 2021. What are their views in terms of going forward as a sector? So we are going to touch on a number of issues. You will see that as we present, we'll give you, first of all, the status in that issue, as well as what miners are expecting. In other words, what policymakers can take as recommendations in dealing with some of these issues. So that's how we are presenting. We combine the views as well as what miners are saying in terms of recommendations or in terms of suggestions for policymakers to take on board to deal with some of the issues, so that at the end of the day we'll be able to achieve more than the projections or the numbers that we are going to see in general and for specific minerals. So we start with the mining industry growth prospects. So most miners, around 90% of the ones that we got feedback from, are planning to ramp up production in 2021, while 10% expect their output to remain the same. When we dissect those that are the 90% that plan to increase their production, we are saying approximately 40% are expecting to ramp production by more than 30%, while 10% are expecting to increase output by between 10 and 30%. So in summary, this is the pictorial view where we are saying those that said production ramp up exceeding 30%, the respondents were 40%. Those who say that their production increase will be between 10 and 30, they were 10% of the total respondents. And those that said our production is going to increase by between 0 and 10%, were also 40% respondents. Only 10% said we are not sure, but overall, what is more important is that the majority of miners, they see a future as far as production output is concerned going into 2021. Looking at the figures, this is the table for major minerals. Don't worry if some of the minerals are not there, but we are just saying we can't put 50 of them, but the bulk or major of them. The respondents indicate that output can grow by an average of ranging between 3% for PGMs to as high as 33% for ferrochrome. So we are taking 2020 as the best year. For instance, when you look at gold, in 2020 we expect 25,000 kgs. In 2021, the projections are going to be 33,000 kg, which will be a 32% increase. And by the way, this table, we asked miners to say their projections, assuming that capital will remain a challenge. We have another table just after this one where we say, if capital issues are dealt with immediately, what will be your projections? So these are the projections assuming that capital will remain a challenge. Platinum, the base 2020 is 14.6 kg. The projections are 15,000 kg, which will be a percentage increase of 3%. Chrome, it's in terms of metric ton, 1.2 million. The projections are 1.6 million, which will be an increase of 33%. We jump to diamonds. Diamonds currently 2.1 million carats. It will increase the projections for 2021 to 2.5 million carats, which will be a 19% increase. So, as Mr. Kwesi has already said, let's mark these numbers. I am happy you have the documents there, so that when it comes after 12 months, you can reflect on them and know that surely these numbers, the projections, were to the point as they were coming from you. Now, this scenario, we are saying if access to capital improves, these are the projections. The baseline is still the same, but in terms of projections, when the gold sector get enough capital as they may wish, or their optimal level of capital, they are saying output will increase from 25,000 kg to 35,000 kgs, which will be a jump or an increase of 40%. A major increase is shown here in chrome, from 1.2 metric ton to 2.3 million metric ton, which will be a 92% increase. And also you see with the coal from 2.4 metric ton to 3.8 million metric ton, which is a 58%. And lastly, diamond from 2.1 million carats to 3.5 million carats, 67 increase in terms of percentage increase. So this is the views of the miners and the mining houses as far as 2021 mining growth prospects.
Honorable Mjiwa, Honorable, welcome. Minister Chitando, you should be happy. Let me remind you, Minister, some 3 years back, you made a comment to then Vice President, I think if it's more than some years back, that you were then the chairman of Wange, and he asked you, how is it going? And he said, Wange, in terms of production, this is how it's going. And he said, Chitando, mazvisetera exam, pasisa, and all that. Basically, you were saying the exuberance, where is the data? But now I think with this one, you can now say, you know what? All the exuberance is well meant. It's not irrational. It's rational exuberance. That's what I got from Professor, to say, if you look at the details from the mining sector survey, we have been correct year in, year out. And right now what comes out is that basically all miners are expectant of a good year.
Thank you. Director of Ceremonies, Honorable Minister of Mines and Mining Development, Honorable Winston Chitando, Honorable Minister of Energy, Honorable S. Shemu, Chairperson of the Parliamentary Committee, Honorable Mkarati Gwa, Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. J.P. Mangunjga, Chairman of ZESA, Dr. Gata, Madam President of the Chamber, Ms. Nerwande, my apologies, Deputy Minister of Mines, Honorable Kambamura, and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. Thank you very much for affording me a few minutes to speak about who I represent. As the Master of Ceremonies has already indicated, Nedbank's parents and EcoBank's parents at some point crossed paths. They forged a partnership, and we do have the same blood running in our veins. Nedbank Group has got a 20% shareholding in EcoBank Trans International Corporation. EcoBank was founded in 1985 in Togo in the ECOWAS regions. Why am I talking about where we came from? I think when I just joined the bank in February this year, the mining indaba in Cape Town, one of my clients said, but who exactly are you now working for, Isabella? Is it Econet? Is it whatever? It's EcoBank. It's a bank that was founded in the ECOWAS regions, but the bank has since evolved to become a fully fledged international bank with representation in China, in Dubai, in France, in the United Kingdom, with a diverse shareholding, the likes of Nedbank. Qatar National Bank has about 20%, Public Investment Corporation of South Africa with another 13%. So we, in answering to the capital call, and thank you very much, Chamber, for an insightful presentation. The big takeaway for us as the financial services sector is the call for capital. But it is quite evident that as the risks and the complexities of the industry become more complex, it's difficult for the promoters to shoulder the burden to exposure in mining risks alone. It's important that we partake as stakeholders in an industry which we call our industry, as all stakeholders. We should meaningfully contribute to the funding requirements. A presentation such as this we've just listened to demystify some of the risks in areas where it has always been alleged that the industry is opaque. So local players such as private funds, pension funds are hesitant to take up risk because they don't know quite well what takes place behind the scenes. As EcoBank, in answering to the capital call, we deliver to you a one bank model. We break the borders and deliver one conversation for your funding requirements wherever you're resident. So the Zimbabwe office hosts executives that have got a regional oversight in the CESA regions, Central and Southern Africa, for your financing requirements. I'm head mining finance looking after Zim, but up to DRC, Zambia, Mozambique. If you're looking into setting out projects or partnering with any entities in those regions, we can facilitate networking, and I'm responsible for that. I think it's important that we take a leaf from what we've seen in our neighbors, South Africa. In the 1990s, a lot of counters delisted from the Joburg Stock Exchange looking for private underwritings from the private sector, inviting more and more private parties to take risk in the mining sector by contributing to funding. And I think it's the same conversation we should have in Zimbabwe. We shouldn't think that funding the sector is just a preserve of the promoters or the banks, but we're inviting more stakeholders to take part. I thank you.
Exports grew by 14%. That's not a small achievement. Despite the COVID-19, the contribution has been very significant. You grew by 14% exports. From where? In the 2019, January to September, it was 2.1 billion exports. The exports for this year, January to September, 2.4 billion. That's a significant increase despite COVID. So if you had removed COVID, which affected the price of chrome, it means it could have even been better, Minister. So these are the numbers. I'm giving you the mining sector in numbers. That's very important. And if you take 30% of $2.4 billion, is $800 million, which are contributing towards to the auction. On a monthly basis, that's about 80 million or so, or 90 to the auction system. So you make the auction system better. And it's you, therefore, whom we should thank for contributing to the auction. And therefore, today Zimbabwe, for the stable prices, it's not because we are cleverer than you, but because you are contributing to your stability. And therefore, the policy consistency that you are talking about come from the stability of the economy first. When the economy is stable, and then the stability leads into by prospects, investment in business, and in therefore increasing more of your output. So we are happy about that. Just to give you the figures again in total, is that this year, from January to September, our foreign currency receipts in the country, total foreign currency receipts, you can measure your contribution by seeing the total. The total foreign currency receipts in the country were 4.8 billion. That is in all exports, including diaspora remittances, including loans. The total receipts of foreign currency in Zimbabwe in the 9 months came to 4.8 billion, from 4.2 billion last year, January to September. That's an increase of 12.7%. So your growth as mining sector is higher than the growth of the total receipts, which means the mining sector has been the major driver of the increase in exports, in export receipts. The other key driver that increased our exports in Zimbabwe, or our foreign currency receipts in Zimbabwe, were the diaspora remittances. The diaspora remittances for this year, the 9 months, increased by 45%, from 457 million last year to 658 million in the first 9 months of the year. So if you add the contribution of mining and the diaspora remittances, it exceeded, it overcompensated the decline in agricultural manufacturing sector exports due to COVID and also tourism. So I think God loves Zimbabwe, because other countries have not been doing the same. I'm saying this because I've been asked by many people, how are you financing the auction? Are you borrowing offshore? We thought Honorable Mkarati was here, there were our parliamentaries who were supposed to oversee borrowing. Honorable Mkarati, you are the political chairman of the mining industry. I want to assure you that we are getting the foreign currency, mainly from the mining sector, the 30%. We are also getting foreign currency, but 20% domestic foreign currency sales, and also from government contribution from the foreign currency receipts that they receive in the form of duty and taxation. So you are doing a fantastic job, the mining sector, and we are happy about that. You need to clap hands for yourselves. As far as you give us hope and a future that is found in my Bible, Jeremiah 29 verse 11. You give us hope in the future. So your presentation, Professor Makari Makocha, it gives that hope. And I'm also here to give you hope that in terms of what you have asked for, Minister, there are 4 cross-cutting issues that I've heard for mining sector. The 4 cross-cutting issues in mining sector. The first one is exploration. Minister, we need to improve on the exploration. Your EPOs, we need to explore, to see, to find out how much gold, platinum, chrome, gold, whatever in Zimbabwe. That's the first key cutting pillar in Zimbabwe. And the second one is the policy consistency that I've had here. It's our prayer to ensure that there's a good policy consistency, to ensure that there's a predictability. You can predict the business of your mining. So the 30 and 70% that is there, we do believe that you can leverage on the 70% foreign currency receipts that you retain. I've heard the request implied and explicitly that you are saying that for you to leverage on 70% that you are retaining, you need to ensure that at least the liquidation period is revised and that it's looked upon to ensure that at the end of the day you don't go to look for foreign currency or capital on a non-consistent policy. It's loud and clear that we've had it, and therefore we need to ensure that the environment, policy environment, is good for your business and that we can leverage and raise money. So the first one.
The Honorable W. Chitando, the governor of the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, Dr. JP Mangudya, who has just left, the president of the Chamber of Mines of Zimbabwe, Nerwande, the ZESA board chairman, Dr. Gata, the CEO Chamber of Mines of Zimbabwe, Mr. Aikwesu, senior government officials here present, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am here to represent the Ministry of Energy and Power Development, the Minister, Honorable Jemu Soda. The surname is Soda, the first name is Jemu. He is committed elsewhere. The Ministry of Energy and Power Development is very much aware that Zimbabwe's mining sector, it plays a very important role in the socio-economic development of the country. As the sector, it has got the capacity to and potential to create a substantial impetus for economic growth and value addition. The sector should therefore be treated as one of the core economic drivers, which we are all supposed to focus on, so that we attain our vision for 2030. On the other hand, the Ministry of Energy and Power Development, it also plays a key role, a major role in as an economic enabler through the provision of electricity, of energy and electricity. My ministry strives to ensure that the generated power reaches all users with special emphasis on productive sectors like mining. And such plans are also being pursued to strengthen the transmission, sub-transmission and distribution network to ensure that reliability and adequacy of the transmission system is achieved through the expansion and rehabilitation of some of the key electricity infrastructure projects. We are aware of the challenges which the mining sector faces, which my ministry should have solutions for. However, we are calling for the collective cooperation from all players for us to achieve the nation's intended goals. The Ministry of Energy is supposed to provide affordable, adequate, reliable and sustainable energy to the sectors of the economy, particularly the mining sector. But our experiences of the past year of 2019 with the West. But as a government, we have got the endeavors to do something to correct the problems that we went through in the generation of the provision of energy in the country. Starting with the fuel, we, as the Ministry of Energy, we have relaxed some laws so that we allow some companies that are in foreign currency to use their funds to import fuel through a direct fuel importation DFI program. On the other hand, we've got the Reserve Bank, which continues to provide foreign currency to the industry for fuel sold in the local currency. And I am sure you are now witnessing a significant improvement in the supply of fuel on the market. But coming to the power sector, I'm sure you are all aware that our major, that the country's internal power generation is mainly from Kariba hydropower station and the Hwange thermal power station. The two major sources have their own challenges. With Lake Kariba, it was about the water levels, particularly in the year 2019, because of the effects of climate change. While at Hwange Power Station, more often than not, we operate at less than 50% capacity due to age-related failures and deferred maintenance programs. However, the power deficit that we have experienced in the country, we've managed to meet that through imports from Mozambique and South Africa. As a last resort, we had to curtail supply or load shedding, particularly last year. The imports, these imports require foreign currency, which currently is limited to meeting a portion of the import bill. This has resulted in an import debt of around $100 million at the moment. But however, we have got plans to extinguish the debt in the foreseeable future. The country's energy security is bright at the moment, as the country is currently executing new capacity development projects, such as the Hwange expansion project, which should give us, should add 300 megawatts in the year 2021, and another 300 megawatts in the year 2022. The project is at about 50% completion. Our efforts in the project has been affected by the COVID-19, but the problems have now been solved. Currently, the work is continuing on this project. These efforts are complemented also by the current work to restore 270 megawatts at Hwange Power Station through units 3 and 6, which went down in the year 2019. The experts working on these 2 units are now in the country. Work had been stalled by the COVID-19, but I'm happy to say that the work is resumed on the 2 units, and these units should be online, should come online, all things being well, by the end of the year. And this should reduce significantly our reliance on electricity imports and providing room to channel the foreign currency towards strengthening our own electricity. We are, however, requesting all export earners, mining companies included, to own up their utility bill payments timeously in hard currency. And I think this has been going on for some time now. This will enable us to have an uninterrupted power supply and to a certain extent ring-fenced arrangements with those who pay much needed foreign currency. We've, as of late, been having challenges with our core suppliers where we have been failing to meet our payments as ZESA. And we have come up with various strategies which have been put in place so that the existing debts are cleared sooner than later. These include ensuring that the electricity tariff is cost reflective, and this will provide capacity for the utility to meet its obligations as and when they fall due. To that end, the ministry has ensured that the tariff value is restored. That's on the supply side management, but on the demand side management, the ministry, we have embarked on the development of the National Energy Efficiency Policy, which was launched on just the formulation policy. The policy formulation, it was launched on the 14th of October in this year. We are encouraging efficient use of energy, and this has got direct impact on the business bottom line, while also reducing electricity demand on the grid, hence a virtual power supply, power station. I am therefore taking this opportunity to encourage all mining companies to invest in energy efficient projects such as power factor correction and installation of efficient equipment. We're also encouraging renewable energy installation like solar PV systems for your own consumption. And if you can generate excess electricity, we have got the net metering program, and this will complement the utility. We are, as the power utility, we've always been facing a challenge on vandalism of our infrastructure, theft and vandalism, and we are sincerely requesting all of us to jealously safeguard our infrastructure.
Pray that all protocols are presumed observed in the interest of time. I will answer the specific questions, but I must also take the opportunity to extend my deepest gratitude to be invited to this very important forum. This is an information update and exchange forum. And the information which is being shared here is so vital to our own planning to be able to complement the remarkable vision of a $12 billion mining industry. As providers of electricity, we are very central to this development. We are very close partners and wish to be regarded as such. When you come to a market of that size, it has huge implications on the amount of electricity necessary to service that market. And electricity is a prime infrastructure sector which is characterized by long lead times in planning. It's very capital intensive. It is very technology intensive. So planning is a result of good information. And therefore these forums are vital for our own drawing boards. I personally, and I'm sure ZESA will be with me here, we so strongly believe in this $12 billion mining industry, this vision. In fact, if we plan it correctly together, we could very soon be talking about a $20 billion mining industry. We can see that potential very vividly from where we sit as providers of energy. I'm just working on the ratios here. The size of industry it is versus the amount of power or proportion of power it takes from our grid. Given that is a fact, I think I just want to share with the meeting the importance of collaborative planning, these forums. They say forewarned is forearmed. I know that there are also some moves in the coal mining industry in particular to establish some IPP capacity, independent power producer capacity. We welcome this in ZESA. We want to encourage it. We want to support it. We want to collaborate with the planners and the investors so that their plans are integrated into our own plans. You can have power stations, which makes a lot of sense, especially when there's a growing coking coal industry. Its economics are vastly improved if it's complemented by the power steam coal market through power generation. But because the locations are very important to know, we want to plan a grid system which also has a very long lead time, which could capture this power and send it to the market. So this forum, once again, in that regard, is vital. The third point I'd like to share with you is that there are opportunities which come with renewable energy technologies. One very low-hanging fruit is actually solar energy in the mining sector, because mining operations occupy land. They're a land-based technology. There's always enough land to be able to put some solar panels that will provide power to the mine during the day, and when they're not working, like the minister said, with net metering, you can sell the excess power to the grid. The advantage of putting solar power plants in mining centers is that the network, the grid is already there, supplying the mine. So interconnection costs, which can be formidable, they can be accommodated very easily. We again would like to encourage, we're trying to set up a consultants team that will assist local authorities and mining companies in putting up their own solar power plant, because I think that is a thing of the future. Another, sorry I'm rushing a bit because I know there are so many people who want to address this forum. Another area in which we can cooperate is in the logistics sector, the transportation of minerals to Beitbridge and beyond, and also to Beira or to Maputo by rail. It happens that my very first project many, many years ago, when I was appointed CEO of the former ESC before ZESA, was the railway electrification project, which it did in 1984. I recall that it was a very easy project. Perhaps we were younger and more dynamic, but it made a huge difference to the fuel bills of the railways and efficiency of railways. I am suggesting that if we're going for a 12 or even 20 billion mining industry, we should start integrating our plans with the railways. It is easy to electrify a track. Between here and Daboka, we already have the supply side. I think we've got 6 big substations dedicated to supplying the railways, but they've not been functioning for nearly 20 years now through vandalism. But once we talk seriously about a huge mining industry, we cannot avoid talking about electrification of our railway lines. And I think I'm addressing the question that were not answered, and you are not happy about that. As for payments, I think Honorable Deputy Minister has already intimated that now that we're back on cost-reflective tariff, we should have no challenges in paying for coal. In terms of hierarchy, after taxes and all, and salaries, coal, in fact, the next most important payment that we attend to. It was really a question of the fact that last month and before last month we were coming to a tariff that was 1/5 of the cost of supply, so we could not.
Comment I wish to again refer to, or is on page 8, which state that mining executives are pessimistic about the prospects for raising adequate capital in 2021. And the third comment refers to, on page 9, mining executives are expecting improvement in global commodity market in 2021, with respondents indicating that they are optimistic for a favorable commodity market in 2021. Then on page 15, there is a statement which indicates that survey findings reveal that respondents operating below full capacity mentioned COVID-19 related challenges, power outages, inadequate foreign exchange allocations, and again, inadequacy of capital. There are two statements I want to comment on. Firstly, the issue of raising capital. We now need, there's need for us to deal with this issue once and for all, to say, why are we failing to raise capital? Why are we failing to raise capital? Yes, I mentioned of some interventions which will be done with certain minerals, but I think it's important that we meet again sometime, with the Presidium, and we need to come up with a firm position. Why are we failing to raise capital? And if need be, with the NAV interactions with the other colleagues, and if need be, also, see how we take it from there. But there is need for us to address the issue of capital. It's important that we take advantage of the, of the high commodity prices we have. And so I give you my commitment, I give you government's commitment that we will have to sit with the chamber and address this issue head on as to what should be done to make the capital availability. Yes, there are some interventions which government is making. The Victoria Falls Stock Exchange. I also believe that there are some initiatives which the financial institutions should also take. They should be also more proactive, active in this regard. But it's a matter which we have to deal with. The second issue is the mining executives are expecting improvement in global commodity market in 2021, with 90% of respondents indicating that they are optimistic of a favorable commodity market in 2021. It is very, very important that as an industry, as a country, we are well blessed to take advantage of this very firm commodity market. That's when expansions take place, that's when new growth projects take place, and once again, together, we will ensure that we resolve whatever challenges are there in place. Master of Ceremony, thank you very much.
Then I've got that is now small-scale producers. Let me start by thanking the large-scale producers of gold. You've been very consistent and it's increasing. The average used to be 750 kgs per month. We're now seeing that you are doing between 850 to 900. So the number of 710 which I've given you, or the 12.8 tons for 2020, it obscures the good performance of the large-scale producers. They've been going up, and we are seeing it. So the missing link here is the artisanal, the small-scale miners. That's where the challenge is. I'm saying this is, I know I haven't answered your question, but it's very important for the gold producers to know that whilst the gold production, or according to the official statistics, is going down by 10%, the large-scale producers have been going up. But so where the challenge? Small scale. Now, the payment terms for the large-scale producers is within a week after delivery, maximum 2 weeks. For the small-scale producers, you artisanals, it's a lead time of 5 days, but otherwise won't be current. So at the end of the day, we've got 2 to 3 days, so they can also pay as they deliver. I'm saying this because before you sell the product, that's when you get cash to pay for the next deliveries. So the promise and the policy position is 7 days, large scale, and 5 days for the small scale producers. Thank you.
Governor, again, my apologies here, but this has to do with Isaac Kweso. He says, please, the governor must pay for his breakfast. But the way you're looking at me, yes, I know, you made me feel uncomfortable as a small scale miner. We are largely compliant, Governor. There are 3 questions I've been asked to raise from the floor, just for the governor. Those questions?
And the survey is that we need to have consistency and have to have a proportionately application of policy whereby 70% of the invoice to be paid in foreign currency and 30% of it paid in local currency. So it's also to give value and give increased demand for local currency. That is still being looked into, and I know about it myself. It won't, look at mathematically and professionally and business-wise, it's inconsistent. Because we cannot ask from you for 100% on invoice value when you go to the lower currency. So in terms of the request, in terms of what you have said, makes plenty of sense, and I can assure you that is being looked into, and the bank is very clear on that matter. And we are therefore discussing this as policymakers with the Minister of Finance and Economic Development on this matter, because we need to bring some consistency in that area. So yes, we've heard about it, and something is brewing, something happening, and I hope that when we prepare the budget for 2020, this is one of the issues that definitely need to be looked into. I hope if the Ministry of Finance was here, they were going to speak more competently on this matter, because that's a fiscal aspect. From the bank side, we are very clear. In fact, this time we are very clear as the sky is blue, that there's a bit of work to be done there. Thank you.
The Iron Lady from the Chamber of Mines, Elisa Mirabe, says you have paid for your breakfast, Governor. We can allow you to leave. Thank you very much, Governor.
And once again, thank you very much, and let me wish you well as a Chamber of Mines, as a capital of industry in the mining sector, to wish you well for this end of the year. And if we don't meet this time, this time again this year, let me wish you a prosperous Christmas as it comes in the next 1.5 months. I wish you well. Thank you very much. Thank you, Minister.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Governor.
Matai Mafumo from Zimasco. We are really quite grateful, for this event, which is very useful in addressing the issues of information asymmetry between various stakeholders. And very important, the turnout very good, which also, helps make sure that the same information is being shared, across the whole industry. And it's also very useful and important that our minister is in attendance, and he has touched on very important issues, like he has indicated that we should expect, policy pronouncements on, 2 minerals. We are, quite excited and waiting to hear, those pronouncements. And also, the target of 12 billion for the mining industry remains very much alive. And, sentiment from industry is very bullish, on the attainment of this target. So, very, very useful. And this is a forum, I think, that should be maintained on a yearly basis. And also, without the sponsors, such events cannot happen. And thanks very much, to Nedbank, the sponsors, issues of access to capital were also covered, in the discussions. And these are very important, partners and stakeholders in the whole agenda. So I think we would like to, thank everyone for coming and hope that this forum will be, a forum that will happen on a year-to-year basis. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the presence. I have yet to take off my mask because one, I'm sufficiently social distance, and secondly, someone was telling me that because of these things that we have, our kids would think that the nose and mouth are private parts. So you need to see me, right? But Honorable Minister of Mines and Mining Development, Winston Chitando, and his deputy, Pauline Kambamura, and my senior officials from the Ministry of Mines and Mining Development. Thank you very much.
My name is Norman Gambiza. I'm the acting head of wholesale banking for the Nedbank Group. I think we are excited to partner the Chamber of Mines on this occasion, where they share the insights about the mining industry in general. I think the report that has been shared gives us confidence about the mining sector, particularly the contribution to the greater economy in terms of foreign currency generation. I think the governor of the Reserve Bank did acknowledge that the mining sector 30% surrender to the Reserve Bank and the nation at large. He has been the major driver of stability in terms of exchange rate, as well as stability to the prices that are obtaining in the market. And we're very proud of that, those production issues that are coming from the mining sector. The minister also indicated that despite the COVID challenges, I think there is the drive in terms of production for the mining sector, which is on the upward trajectory. And what that then calls for to us as financial partners is a challenge on saying how can we then partner with the mining sector to do good for the greater of our nation. As Nedbank, I think we are an African bank with strong roots out of South Africa, where there is a dominant mining sector, and we tap into that to look at opportunities where we can collaborate with the mining sector and the country at large. So we're looking forward to 2020, 2021 and the future in finding collaborations with the miners, their suppliers and the various stakeholders in the sector. But as a brand, we're not just looking at the finance option, we're looking at convenience that we can bring to the sector, particularly in terms of financial solutions. So be it digital solutions, our preference or our trust is to make sure that miners do their mining best and we become the partners for delivering our transactional solutions. I think as a bank, with our sponsorship, we hope we have brought a smile to the stakeholders in the mining sector by the offer that we've done in terms of the draw. It is a new thing to the chamber, and hopefully it's something that we commit to be continuing in the years to come. Thank you.
Professor Albert Makochekano, in the department at the University of Zimbabwe Economics. I was the consultant on the mining survey in Zimbabwe for 2020-2021. So the major issues which came from the survey are that, one, the mining sector in general is very positive about mining activities in Zimbabwe coming 2021. For instance, they are very positive in terms of output, where they are saying overall the output is going to increase across a number of minerals. Secondly, they are also very positive in terms of capacity utilization, where they expect capacity utilization to move from an average of 61% this year to 80% next year. They are also positive in the sense that they are going to increase employment in terms of head count in their respective mines. They are also very positive in terms of generating more foreign currency for the country. So overall, we got the impression and we found that the mining sector is very positive come 2021 in terms of their activities. Thank you.
And what came up from the Minister of Mines as well as from the Governor of the Reserve Bank is that there's still hope for the mining sector, and that the country is totally relying on the mining sector in terms of accumulation of the forex. However, on the mining side, for the mining houses, given this new norm, we need to reconcile ourselves with the new norm, and in order for us to remain coordinated as a mining industry. And what is quite clear is that there's been a very good working relationship with the regulatory authorities. So our future looks bright in the sense that there is a shared vision on the whole issue of the mining industry going forward and the growth. There's been assurance from the Minister of Mines in terms of some of the major factors that have been affecting the mining industry. There are quite a number of them, but I'm glad to say that this particular year has been very good in addressing most of those issues. It hasn't been a good year in the sense of the challenges that we've experienced compounded by the COVID-19, but we are hopeful for 2021.
Yes, my name is Isaac West, CEO Chamber of Mines. I think as you have seen, this has been a very successful event, well planned, well coordinated, and very purposeful in nature. The purpose of this workshop was to disseminate research findings to key stakeholders in the mining industry about the performance and the prospects of the mining industry in 2021. And the presentation touched on key tenets of those areas, specifically what is anticipated by miners and what they require to achieve those performance targets. Also, more importantly, the response and deliberations from the panel who were responding to the presentation. I think they were equally confirming what the research had showed in terms of the mining outlook in 2020. The critical requirements for the industry in regard to policy, specifically consistency, predictability, and clarity. I think it was very clear from the minister that they are doing everything possible to make sure that the policy is aligned to requirements of the industry. The governor of the Reserve Bank had also anchored his remarks in regard to the foreign exchange framework and the other monetary issues which are really critical for the mining industry. He promised that he was going to provide a framework that will see the foreign exchange being aligned to fiscal framework, as well as ensuring that the efficiency of the auction system is enhanced, which will bring stability and value for any local payments that will be done to miners. A store of value is very critical. So it was very important on electricity, which is a critical input required in production. Also, the Minister of Energy and ZESA Executive Chairman, they also guaranteed that they will provide the required electricity for a growth mining sector. So it is imperative that with the policymakers supporting the producers, we'll be able to see a sustainable, growing and contributing mining sector to the national agenda. Thank you.
I'm head mining finance for EcoBank Zimbabwe and Central and Southern Africa regions. I was very excited to be part of this conference. It's a very insightful conference. Oftentimes we complain about there not being enough information into what risks there are, what opportunities there are into the mining sector. And I think in this conference it was demystified. I would say the call for capital was stressed by the Honorable Minister of Mines, Minister Shtando, and I think it's a valid call for all stakeholders to take seriously and consider steps that they might take, to participate meaningfully. It's an industry that we're saying it's our industry as stakeholders, so we can't leave everything to the promoters of the business. We should participate as well as all competent and equal stakeholders to rally behind the projects and support them. We are happy that the industry is hopeful, the prospects are positive, and we look forward to a meaningful partnership. All I can say from the bank, EcoBank's perspective, we're quite happy and eager to partner with the Chamber of Mines and its members to advance capital, be it in Zimbabwe or projects that they're looking at in the region as growth areas. We deliver one bank and one conversation for funding, and we're quite happy for the opportunity to participate. Thank you.
My name is Alexander. I'm a representative of Carlton Consulting. We are a Volvo agents here in Zimbabwe, and we basically supply the earth-moving construction equipment as well as mining equipment. We just come out of this meeting of the Chamber of Mines, and I must say 2021 does seem quite promising. Just based off of the graphs, I've seen there is quite a significant increase in production, and as an equipment supplier it seems very promising, and I think it will really boost our economy.